Long story short, my father cheated on my mother with my stepmother. My wife in our 7-year relationship for dating 3 married has never met my father's stepmother, half-siblings, step-uncles, or step-grandfather. My mother convinced my wife she didn't want any of them at the wedding or have any holidays with them. The entirety of our relationship. My wife was cheated on in the past but moved past that, or so I thought. Well, my wife and I recently found out we're having our first child. But my wife is not excited or happy at all because my mother told her that my father cheated on my mother once she got pregnant. Yes, accurate. But it was before either of my parents knew my mother was pregnant with me. My wife is convinced that I'll cheat on her because she's pregnant. Very unlikely, as she's the most amazing woman I've met and no one can hold a candle to her on looks. My mother just says I'm my father's son, which really ticks me off. But because my wife hasn't met my father, she says that the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. She does trust me. She says she trusts me, but she cries every time my phone goes off. My stepmother, who I call Mama, says not to vilify my mother and to be as supportive a husband to my wife as I can be. She even bought me some stuff to pamper because, quote, she deserved to be loved and pampered like the beautiful woman she is and how pregnancy is tough on women's body. My wife never goes with me to my dad's house, just lets me go by myself. My wife is on the shy side and my mom acts like they're best friends. They especially got close when wedding planning was happening and my mom told all these tales about how my half-siblings were rowdy and unmanageable. I don't have control over who my wife talks to. Plus my mother often comes around when I'm at work and my wife stays off. Also, just to add, my mother didn't allow me to meet my stepmother and my half-siblings, Mama and my father's kids, for 5 years because she wanted me to be safe. So until I was 5, whenever I was with my father, I was at my grandparents, his parents' house, and if he tried to have his custody weekends at his house with his wife and kids, she would take me home and I wouldn't have my weekend with my father. My parents were only dating when the affair happened and they broke up long before I was born. And my stepmother didn't know my father was dating someone at the time. But to quote her, she was just drawn to him in a way she can't explain and she was angry that he came back. She wanted him to stay with my mother. She herself hated what she did. My father hated it too. To add, my father and stepmother owned up to what they did to me years ago. They always apologize to my mother whenever they see her because she constantly brings it up. I'm almost 30, but my mother will not stop making jabs at my father about my stepmother. So besides the obvious, how can I get my wife to calm down and enjoy her pregnancy or convince her that I will not cheat on her? I love my wife. She makes me whole and there will never be anyone but her. You need to put your foot down with your mother and get into couples counseling with your wife. Your mother sounds like the type who isn't happy unless everyone around her is miserable. It's disgusting behavior. Imagine saying your own son will cheat because his dad cheated on you. She can't love her own son who's done nothing wrong. She's failing as a parent. Your mom is, well, cheating is wrong. I can see why someone would want out of a relationship with her ASAP though. If my mom tried to sabotage my relationship like this, she'd be cut off. She can have her pity party by herself and it would be much deserved. Did she drive your dad away? Like she's driving you? Your mother is a major source of your wife's insecurity when a mom is telling a partner their child will cheat. It holds some weight. Start with your mom while reassuring your wife the best you can. Black small square. Dad met stepmom, did the cheating, regret, went back to mom, broke up with mom to be with stepmom. No real driving away that I heard recounted from stepmom and dad. They're happily married to this day and my stepmom treats me like one of her brood. Hello. LLC about cutting some apron strings between my mother and wife. My wife is pretty exclusively friends with my mother, so maybe introducing her to my sister might help. How on earth has your wife not met your father or his family? That is absolutely insane. Stop hanging out with your mom and start letting her get to know your dad. It's been 7 years. What have you been doing if you forgive your dad and have a relationship with his family? Your wife should to your mother's been running your own marriage for far too long. Update. My wife is convinced I'll cheat because she's pregnant. Thank you to everyone who responded. Me and my wife are grateful. Firstly, my wife has joined an online book club with a lovely group of women who I've met. She's made friends. She's enjoying their book. The majority of them are moms, so they have plenty to talk about with permission from my boss. I changed my work hours so we could spend more time together and we've been talking a lot. She is much happier and she's been talking to a therapist about me and her insecurities. It's a work in progress, but that's life and our baby is developing very well due to reduce maternal stress. Secondly, I now call my stepmother by her first name. I don't call her mama anymore. She wasn't upset at all. My wife has met my grandfather, SM's dad, and my uncle's SMS brothers. They got along really well, especially since I got a pie to the face and they all laughed at me. Fair, I'm under the impression it was my grandfather's idea, but as long as she's happy, her laughter is the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. My mother was told therapy or no contact. I was told she wasn't going because there wasn't a thing wrong with her, her husband and daughters. My awesome sisters are going to keep trying. My mother and wife have been out of contact since my wife is a little upset. But because of this, she's made new friends that when the world is better she can meet in person and then condition their husbands out of earshot. kidding. Then someone in my DMS got into my head about the paternity, about my half-siblings, if they really are my fathers or not. So I talked to my family about genealogy and learning about where our family came from. One of my uncles suggested we just make our own episode of Maury's stepmother. Said it would be pretty boring, but whatever, if that's what we want to spend our money and time on. Yes, my family is a little weird, so all us kids took tests. My sisters didn't want me to be left out. I mean, I had to test as a baby. No true surprises. 4 out of 5 kids matched the one that didn't me. The one kid my dad was sure about several tests later. They all agree my dad isn't my biological dad. Dad's upset. I'm upset. I haven't told my wife because I don't know how to really say it without sounding like a crazy person. And I still have emotions about the results myself. Me and my twin half-siblings could be triplets. We look so similar. I don't understand. I'm a little lost here. I'm overwhelmed. If anyone has anything for me, I'd greatly appreciate it. I'd love to ask my mother about this fun revelation, but she's not getting anything from me until she goes to therapy. My stepfather and sisters wouldn't know anything about it. So, if anyone has advice, I'm open to hearing it. So your mom cheated to what? She's been on your dad's case because he cheated on her with your stepmom. But the truth is that even before their cheating, your biological mom cheated on someone else. And it is more than likely that your uncle is your dad. Wait, what? I feel like I got that wrong to me reading it. His dad knew all along that he most likely wasn't his, but stayed shut up about it because he wanted him to be his son regardless. So he copped with this nonsense. So he got to keep OP as his kid. Probably why OP's dad cheated on his bio mother. Is no point in being loyal to someone who wasn't loyal. Well, I didn't expect that. Some serious projection going on in mom's corner. Do all your siblings know as well? What was the reaction? I think the first step is to reaffirm the relationships you have in your life. Your dad. He is your dad in every way that matters. Your siblings to you didn't ask for any of this and had no control over any of it. But you still have the same loving family you had before the test. Best of luck with everything, and take your time. Luckily, my uncle playing the part of Maury pulled me and my dad aside before he read it aloud. It worried the hell out of the rest of my family that was there. But once we told everyone, there was an upset, no anger, some tears, back-breaking hugs. My younger sister was the one to question if it was a fluke. So Dad and I did the other test. Not a fluke, or way too many flukes. I was told my seat at the table isn't going anywhere. If anything, it's going to get a pillow. No wonder your mom has been so relentlessly projecting the cheating narrative. She's been hiding for 30 years that she cheated herself. It all makes a lot more sense. Now, I am so sorry. I can't imagine the uncertainty, mistrust, and betrayal you must be feeling along with your dad. Tell your wife, she isn't going to think you're a crazy person, and this isn't the kind of thing you want to keep from your partner. She'll want to be able to support you through this update. And my mother is confronted with my paternity results, and it goes as well as expected. I wasn't expecting to make a trilogy of this. I was just expecting some advice to help me with my wife. But thank you to everyone who has been helpful. I shall continue my epic. Before I begin, my dad and I went through a paternity test through a doctor. No change. And well, I did a genealogy kit and made the results public so I could try to find my father that way. And sadly, nothing yet on that front. My wife has met my whole family. It's amazing. And she's talking about renewing our vows, so they could be there that time, baby and global issue permitting. I do like the idea, and my wife apologized to me about the hurtful things she said and the way she behaved, and even offered to have them paternity test our baby with the promise for the most boring paternity test ever. The baby being mine. I trust my wife. We're a team and I love her. There will never be another person for me. I will take her up on her offer. But it's not because I think it'll expose something. And I've told her just that my stepfather reportedly gave my mother my paternity results. He told me she screamed that witch. I believe that's a reference to my stepmother. She claims my stepmother tampered with the results of all the tests these kids took to make my mother look bad because, and I quote, that skank couldn't close her legs for a cold breeze. She'll sleep with everything that moves. Things were thrown and a lot of other things were screamed about my dad and stepmother. She's indefinitely no contact with me or my wife. Mother's daughter. My half-sister has been removed and is living with my stepfather's parents until her paternity results come back. My other sister is my stepsister. She's safe. Oh, and Mama, my loving stepmother, has busted the evil stepmother myth for my darling wife. Their relationship is relatively new, but those two plus my 2 sisters, dads, girls, and my other 2 sisters have tea starting their own book club while they wait for baby to arrive or the world to right itself, whichever comes first. Your mom is a massive witch, seriously projects her infidelity onto you, and your dad to your wife, to the point she questions your fidelity, then has the audacity to say the DNA tests have been tampered with. Once the truth comes to light, who is she trying to convince here? Good luck on your bio dad search. Maybe post on Facebook or some other genealogy site that you're looking for a man who was with your mom at time of conception. Who knows, maybe your bio dad has been holding on to guilt of being the affair partner this whole time. And to find out he has a son would be one way to open up about it. seeing how this story has been unfolding. That doesn't sound like too much of a stretch. Cheaters are broken people. They really are. They lie and tell you what you want to hear. That they love you. They gaslight, and when they get found out, they lose it and accuse others of cheating at some point. You really just have to wash your hands off of them because they're so broken that they'll only cut you. You can't reason with them. You can't talk to them. You can't make them listen. Let them go. Why would your half-sister have to be removed but not your stepsister? I'm not too familiar with the terms, but wouldn't the half-sister be her child and be the safest? My half-sister was living with them while my stepsister wasn't. She's the child of my stepfather's previous marriage. My stepfather didn't like the idea of my sister living with them while our mother is being volatile. Am I the only one impressed by the mental gymnastics of this woman and the shamelessness and audacity? Like, how can you hold a straight face and blame the stepmother when faced with such results? The woman is twisted into a pretzel and did a pirouette at the same time. Just wow. Story 2. I wasn't the perfect father, but come on the way. My daughter Alana, 26, talks about me in therapy. You think I've never done anything good for her at all. I get it. I messed up. But it's like I told the therapist when he asked me how my daughter's words made me feel. I'm not trying to shift any blame, but my wife is right here and my daughter hasn't said one bad word about her this entire time. Is this going to be family therapy or bash dad for an hour and 45 minutes every week? He told me that the uncomfortable feeling and frustration was how my daughter has been feeling for all these years, and I told him I get that. That's why I'm here. So we can all get past that and move forward. Not continuously going back to the past and talking about things we can't change. What are some solutions moving forward? And he said it starts with listening. That was the first session. We're on session 3. I've been listening and all I hear is a whole lot of daddy this and daddy, and I'm ready to call it quits and throw in the towel. I told my wife that she could go to the sessions without me from now on, and she can listen to my daughter complain about me all they want, because if she hates me that much, it's better if I stay away. My wife said that if I stopped going, that would make me an idiot because this isn't about me and that we're there to support our daughter and her healing process. I said that was easy for her because she's not getting targeted every week. And if this isn't about me too, then this isn't family therapy and I should remove myself if I'm the cause of all the problems. I'm having doubts though, because I did neglect our daughter a lot when she was little and I do want a better relationship with her. But if I have to keep going through this, then screw it. You are the idiot. This is the 3rd session. 3rd rounding up. You listen to 6 hours of your daughter venting her 20+ years of frustration and pain with you. Do you really want a better relationship, or do you want her to magically just forget all she endured? Maybe own up to the things you've done by understanding first how your actions have hurt her. The past is an absolute classic deflection from a parent who doesn't understand why they currently have a terrible relationship with their offspring. I mean, I've heard it, and when I did, I immediately gave up ever trying to explain anything to my mother again. You sit there and listen. It makes you uncomfortable as a feature, not a bug. Listen to you. No wonder your daughter has issues with you. You are clearly a self-absorbed narcissist and making this all about you, instead of listening to whatever messed up crap you did to your daughter that traumatized her so much. She needs therapy. Therapy isn't about getting the past in the past and moving forward. Therapy is about understanding the pain and suffering you've caused so that your daughter can heal instead. It's all about you and your feelings, and for that you are an enormous idiot father. So yeah, you are the idiot without a doubt. Story 3. So my 24 female boyfriend, 28, is really protective over his furniture. I assume it's because they're white. This really shows when I'm on my period. My boyfriend does humiliating things like placing sheets on all of the chairs and lounges. I feel like if I were to leak, I just leak through the sheets. Anyway, it makes me sleep in the guest bedroom on the first 2 days of my period, my heaviest days. And then he even asked me about when was the last time I changed my tampon. I'm a grown woman who has had her period for the last 12 years. I don't need somebody to remind me to change a tampon. When he does this, I just feel embarrassed, and it gives me the vibe that he cares more about materialistic objects than me. I'm not even allowed to cut it with him during my period. He acts like I'm just gushing a waterfall or something. I started my period yesterday, and as I expected, the sheets came out. I decided to put my foot down and I take off all the sheets off the furniture, which got my boyfriend irritated too, which I told him that he needs to stop treating me like a leaking juice box. He's saying that I have no right to prevent him from keeping his expensive furniture clean and that I'm the one acting like an idiot. I need to know. Am I what in the blue moon did I just read? You are not the idiot. Closing thought. He's 28. But his mom was. She got her period instead of having him. You are not the idiot. Just out of curiosity, does he have any redeeming qualities besides owning furniture? He cares about this. Is actually quite disturbing behavior. He's treating OP like a dog in heat. It makes me wonder about his personality or views towards women in general for its screwed up reasoning to work. He'd have to ask any woman that comes to his house if they're having their period. I don't think this is about furniture. This is a man deeply uneasy about menstruation and female body functions. He's not truly comfortable relating with women and attempts to control and set barriers around them. I suggest you get away from this man whose head is in the dark ages of time, because you'll begin to notice over time that it's not just your menstruating body that sets him off. Oh, come on, that's a little harsh. A man's home is his castle, and this poor man is understandably threatened by his girlfriend's uterus. His castle is under siege since OP has the nerve to carry out regular bodily functions in his home. The least he can do is cover every surface in a highly permeable fabric to make sure that any errant menstrual fluid is transferred to the upholstery. OP, you deserve a man who sees you and all women as his equal, not a walking vessel of hormones and bodily fluid. Last I checked, men had plenty of their own hormones and fluids. I bet this guy doesn't take the same precautions for himself, though.